I think sometimes because we work with so many facilities, we've definitely seen the good, the bad, and the ugly about 2020. But we want to really share some positives and things that people did that helped them get through the year. But we also want to know what you guys did to get yourself through the year and some positive things that came out of it. So definitely post those things in the comment and we'll talk about some of those. So Kathy said she's loving the trick of the month, which is awesome. That's actually one of our personal positives for the dog gurus that came out of 2020 was putting that program together to help others.
For me, what I have really liked seeing and working with is finding the business owners understanding that, wow, if I understand my numbers, I can make better decisions and feel more confident. It isn't so scary. And so I have really enjoyed this year actually helping people feel better about their numbers and understanding that, and people being so receptive to it.
We laugh because, as Susan said, we've been teaching about numbers for a long time, especially Susan. And never have we ever taught it to so many people who are asking so many questions about it than this year. And I do think that is a benefit. One of the good things that came out of COVID is, sadly, it came out in a bad way in some situations because people suddenly realized that they weren't making as much money in certain revenue streams as they thought they were. One of the things that you may have heard Susan and I say this before, but when we've worked with a lot of facilities who do multiple services, especially those who are doing like lodging and daycare and training, and we always tell you to break your numbers down by revenue stream, because we don't want to have one revenue stream losing money and another revenue stream that's holding that one up. And that unfortunately happens a lot and people have no idea. So we've worked in the past with a lot of facilities where we've gone through their numbers and it's a profitable business. And then when we break out the numbers, what shows up is one revenue stream is totally losing money, but the other revenue stream is making so much that it's covering the losses. And people haven't known that. And so what happened with COVID, when lodging completely went away, some people were shocked to find out that not only did they lose their lodging money, lodging was actually paying for the loss for the daycare. And now that without that revenue, they were hit even harder than they expected. So that was a sad reality that came out of it. But the good news is that people suddenly started contacting us and saying, can you help me with my numbers, which was great. And the better numbers, the better you can run your business and the better decisions you can make. And really, it becomes empowering. If you have questions on that, we are always happy to talk about that. Susan loves to talk about numbers. And
we even took our Pet Profits template that was set up originally for brick and mortar facilities. And so this year we added templates more for either dog trainers, pet sitter, dog walkers that didn't have brick and mortar fixed costs. So it prompted us to do an enhancement to one of our favorite tools so that it is a tool for everybody and not just the brick and mortars, because there was some advantage to not having that brick and mortar as part of your business this year if you could be flexible and some other things that we'll talk about.
Yeah, exactly. So Kathy said one of her positives was getting comfortable on Zoom and expanding my business outside my state. So I think that's a great one. Susan and I actually took advantage this year of joining an online program called Video Attraction Lab, which is offered by some friends that we know through our coaching program. And our goal was to get more comfortable on video. And it started really with these Facebook Lives. Back in March, we said we need to get some information out there. So Susan and I started doing these Facebook Lives, and 9 months later, we're still doing them. And we made a commitment to just go ahead and keep doing them every week as much as we can. So that did come out of COVID, our talking to everybody. And it's been fun because I feel like we've gotten to know people a lot better. And it's obviously it's still virtual, but it's just fun to be able to jump on and have people comment with us or talk with us on Facebook Live. And then it's helping us also to build our YouTube channel out, because we've had a YouTube channel forever that just sat there with 3 videos on it. And so now we take these Facebook Live videos and we put them on YouTube. So that's helping us too. And then I think everybody in the world has started to use Zoom, which ironically, the dog gurus, we have, because we're a virtual company, we've used Zoom for like the past 5 or 6 years. And so when everybody started jumping on the Zoom bandwagon, we were like, what's the big deal with Zoom? Like, we've been using it for 5 years, but it's definitely good to get comfortable with all that. And I definitely agree with what Kathy's saying, is that with virtual technology, you can expand your market. So
Mhm.
now your market isn't just the local people that can drive to you. So being able to expand your market is huge. And that's one of the things that we would say should continue on even after COVID ends. Continue to try to do some of those virtual things, create programs that you can turn into just an evergreen program that just sits on your website, and you can keep selling it to people that are outside of your local community. So I definitely think that's a huge benefit and a huge positive that came out of 2020. And I think the one of the things, and we talked about this a couple minutes ago, Susan, before we started the call, was diversifying. So do you want to touch on that a little bit? Because this, I think, is a huge issue that came out of COVID.
Yeah, I think that was what we saw. We have a group program called Profit Network where we work closely with certain members and did that all year. And one thing we found with our Profit Network members who are finding that they're ending the year either at break even or a little bit of a profit, which is huge. If you're ending the year with break even or profit, you need to be celebrating because that is definitely huge. But the key to all of them was that they found a way to diversify their service offerings beyond what they had before COVID. And several of them got real assertive about getting grooming or dog training into their businesses if they hadn't done those before. Or, like Kathy said, taking it and going out and using technology beyond your immediate market. And so diversifying other revenue streams. The other thing that some of the members we've talked to that have done well had some type of membership in place so that even when things were shut down with COVID, they necessarily hadn't lost all their incoming revenue streams because clients were still paying for memberships. In fact, some of them were like, I want to hold my spot. I want you as a business to succeed. So I'm still keeping my membership, even if your state isn't allow you to provide services. So I do think this is an opportunity as you move into 2021 to look at your revenue streams and the business model you have and determine if there's a way to diversify so that you're not so reliant on just one or two core services.
Yeah, I think everybody was really shocked. We've always said the pet industry is sort of recession proof and nothing can harm it. And I think that was a shocking reality when it came to a halt like that overnight, and then didn't pick back up again, obviously, because of lockdowns and lack of travel, especially with the lodging. So diversification became really important. And if you haven't added revenue streams, I would definitely be looking at that. And the recurring revenue, which is the monthly membership, any kind of monthly subscription, is definitely something that is really common in society right now. So figure out how you take what is common in society and apply it to your business. And you can find recurring memberships everywhere. I saw one for candles the other day. Because every month you get some candles. We've obviously always seen like the Bark Box subscriptions where you can get a monthly box mailed to your house, but I've seen it now with wine. I've seen it with marketing tools where every month you get some kind of marketing tool. These are just things that are out there. We see it with gyms. Obviously, that's the example we always use, is a recurring gym membership where you're going to the gym. But there's been a ton of new memberships that have cropped up this year, especially. And I think that's not necessarily just because of COVID. I think part of it is, but I think part of it is just people in every business across the board are seeing the value of recurring monthly memberships because you get recurring money every month from your clients and it's automated. So figure out how to do that with your business. That was one of the reasons that several years ago, we started promoting memberships for enrichment daycare. So if you're going to add some kind of an enrichment type program, whatever that looks like for you, for us, it's typically daycare 2.0 is what we call it, but make that into some kind of a membership where people are paying a monthly fee to be along to that, kind of like a gym. We saw people create Kong memberships where they were creating stuffing Kongs and then delivering them or having the clients pick them up on a routine basis. And then when the Kong was empty, the client would bring it back and pick up a new one. So that could be some kind of a subscription. We saw some people do subscriptions with retail products to boost their retail sales. But we also saw the trick of the month, which is one of the things that we talked about. And Kathy had mentioned that earlier. When we mentioned trick of the month many months ago, we were like, this would be an awesome way. I did trick of the month 17 years ago in my facility. And it was just a way to get people to pay an extra fee on top of their daycare fee to get something extra. And so for me, that was, I was going to teach the dog a specific trick. Every month we had a trick. And we recommended that back in March and April. And then we got feedback of, I don't know how to teach the tricks and I don't know how to market it and all that. So we actually put that together with Blue Nine Pet Products, a product for you to purchase. And I'll tell you, if you promote that, you'll get your money back the first month you promote it. So definitely check that out. But any way you can create some kind of recurring membership for your facility. We saw somebody that did for grooming that did a monthly membership for grooming. So every month their dog got like a bath and not a full groom, but they would get a bath or they might get their nails trimmed or whatever. But I thought that was a really creative idea. I think for dog walkers or pet sitters, you could do something on a monthly basis that the member signs up for that. I've seen it with training. Just be creative and figure out how to take that idea from society, which is pretty common, and put it into your business.
It's definitely something that anybody can do. Trainers, dog walkers, pet sitters. You don't have to have a facility to do a short enrichment session with the dogs. You can go to the home because you can take either, the fit pause, the climb, one piece of agility equipment and work on that for a session. And what you want to do with a membership is it's something that's recurring. And so you probably will sell a limited number because you have limited spots available. And so that way that client knows that on a certain day or time or every month that this will happen, and I don't have to schedule it or make a reservation. It's just going to be there. And in reverse, you're going to get that revenue every month and you can just automatically charge it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ideas for that. So definitely let us know if you have questions. I know Melanie said Susan's budget course is fantastic. So that's awesome. Yeah, we do have a whole course on budgeting if you are interested in getting help. I will say, I always say this about Susan, is her master's is in accountancy. So she did accounting before she was in the pet industry. And you'd never know that because she, in the sense of she doesn't seem accountant type, meaning she's a lot more casual, a lot more relaxed, a lot more whatever. I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm just saying if you meet Susan, your first thought is not, oh, she must be accountant. But she has a great way of making numbers really easy to understand. So she really does break it down into easy to understand concepts. And let's be honest, nobody gets into the pet industry to say, I want to do all this stuff with numbers.
I'm gonna do a budget.
Yeah. But once you get hooked on how the numbers can help you, it does become fun to actually put those numbers down and then just tweak a number here or there. One of the simplest things that Susan often talks about is, if you just look at your revenue, and you could do this pre-COVID or COVID, it doesn't matter. Just look at how many clients you have doing any service, whatever service, or add them all together and just say, I have 2,000 clients doing pet sitting, or I have 2,000 clients that do a groom or whatever. Just look at those numbers and just say, what if I charged $1 more for every service I offered? And then figure out how much more money that would be. And little things like that, where you're like, oh, that's an easy thing to do. Or another one of our favorites is if you just discounted 3 or 4 or 5% less, how much money would you make more? And that's money directly into your pocket because you're not changing anything about the way you're doing business. You're just reducing the discount amount. So really simple things that you can do to make more money. And in a year like COVID, those dollars add up, especially when you're not getting all the revenue you normally get. So Sabine said she took advantage during the lockdown time to become PAC certified, which is awesome. And as a canine first aid instructor, which is awesome as well. A canine first aid is always, and any pet first aid really, continues to be a high demand, but what we saw during COVID was a lot of those were all in person and they all shut down.
Mhm.
So if you're able to do any kind of education, even if it looks a little bit different, people still want education. So if you can provide your pet parents with education on first aid, that's another way to generate revenue. And so maybe you have to tweak what you might have done in person, but you can still give them education. You can still teach them basics. Like maybe you can't do the hands-on CPR stuff because you can't meet together or whatever, but first aid is a huge issue still for pet parents. They really want that knowledge. So that's a
And
great.
we know there's a lot of new first time dog owners out there because adoptions are definitely up during COVID. And so they probably haven't had the chance to go to a course or take a first aid course. So I think it would be a great thing to offer after the holidays.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a great idea. There's definitely anything you can teach new new dog owners, puppy owners, whether it's something as simple as how to crate train your dog or how to house train your dog, or here's all of the things that we recommend when you first bring your puppy home, and tie that into your retail site so that they can purchase from you. Even if you don't have a retail site, doing Amazon affiliates and you put together a package of stuff that they can just click on a button and it all gets purchased and shipped through Amazon, but you get a portion of that because you're an affiliate for Amazon. Those are all easy things to do. And Susan's right. There's like massive puppies out there, pandemic puppies and pandemic dogs, which is wonderful. But now we need to make sure we're setting those pet parents up for success so that in 4 months, we aren't seeing shelters refill with these dogs that now are out of control because nobody taught the pet parents anything when they brought those puppies home. So it's a great opportunity for that. And then I love this one. Kathy said, I created a therapy dog prep class that people can work on their own and then just come into the test, which is great. And then currently working on scent work online course. So definitely send me your information. I really want to do scent work with my dog, but of course I can't go anywhere because nobody's teaching classes right now.
Love that, Kathy.
Yeah, that's awesome. And those kind of courses, they're a lot of work to put them together. But then again, they remain on your website and you do the course once and then now it's available like forever or however.
Yeah.
Raising your puppy, which some of you guys are affiliates for our Raising Your Puppy course. My dog is behind me right now. He's 4. Raising Your Puppy, I created when Ranger was a puppy. It's literally me raising him. And then I videotaped real life what you do with your puppy when they're being a puppy, tricks to teach, basic manners, stuff to teach them. But the point is, I created that course. It was a lot of work while I had a puppy, but I created that course 4 years ago. And 4 years ago, we started selling that and it's still available. And Ranger's now 4. So that's the beauty of any of those online courses. Anything that you're doing, whatever you're teaching, whatever you're doing for education, record yourself doing it. And then something you can sell virtually without having to recreate it every single time, which is awesome.
And don't worry if you think, oh, somebody else has already done it. That's all right. There can be multiple presentations and courses on the same thing. What you're going to find are certain people are drawn to you and what you do and like your style and connect with you. And so just reach out to your tribe, your niche, and don't worry if somebody else has done it. You're going to put a different spin on it, and different people are going to be attracted to the way you present it.
And for all of us that have a list of people who are already using our services, if they trust you, they would rather get all of their services from you. And so I get that question all the time. When I was creating Raising Your Puppy, do you know how many puppy courses are out there? There's millions out there. And not to mention that you could just go to YouTube and find all kinds of content for free about raising your puppy, or go to the bookstore or Amazon or Dogwise, and there's countless books on how to raise a puppy. So I could have just said, why would I bother doing this course? Because there's all this stuff out there. But Susan's right. There are people who they know you, they love you, they trust you, and they're going to, if you're giving them value, they're going to get it from you. It's the same reason that when you're doing lodging, one of the reasons we want you to do daycare also is because people are going to be like, oh, what else can you do for my dog? It's why multi-services work well, because if people trust you with their pet, they want to do everything with you and with their pet. So don't Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that at all. So definitely look at those types of options, what you can create and then be able to sell.
Anyway, so I think another thing that we've seen that's real important, and you guys are showing that now, is the businesses that did really well were open to doing something different and trying something different, whether it was technology or service stream, and kind of thinking outside the box, like putting in a membership where your competitors aren't doing it. You're then going to be leading, and it's tough to sometimes lead, but it's also the way you get and can maximize opportunity. So making those fast decisions and just trying it, even if you're not sure it's going to work, can definitely pay off, and especially if you get ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, Susan and I have a saying, and we're in a coaching programs where the person who we coach with, they say this all the time, and we've adopted it. And that is that we just build the plane while we're flying it. There's a lot of stuff that we have done where we launch it and we're like still tinkering with it. But it's one of those, I think that's a little bit of an entrepreneur spirit. There's two ways you can do a new thing. One is to just go, 80% is good enough. Let's go and we'll fix the problems as we get it out there. The other is to obsess about it so much that you want it perfect before you ever launch it. And the problem with that, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs that are like that too, we tend to be entrepreneurs, meaning we tend to be a little bit of control freaks and a little bit of perfectionists. So when you add all that together, you can actually get focused on making it perfect that it never actually gets out there at all. And so Susan and I have made a conscious effort to say, we just need it to be 80% and we are going to go with it. I can tell you that all of the stuff we've done monthly. So 7 years ago, I guess it was, when Susan and I launched our membership site, which was a monthly recurring membership. We still have that site today. But when we launched it, we did not have a year's worth of content. That would have been really nice, but we launched it. I think we had maybe 2 months of content.
Mhm.
So we launched it and we were like, it's a monthly membership. Sign up every single month. We're going to give you stuff. And guess what? As soon as people pay you for that, you will get the monthly content done in time, because now we're like, we had the first month and that was great. We were like, great, people bought this and here's the first month. And then the next month we were like, we have some of this. We still need to keep working. And then for the next month after month, we're creating content every single month to put up there. But I can also tell you that way of doing it helps to fund the work that you still have to do on it, because now we had members and they were helping to pay for the work that we needed to do and the getting it to look pretty and outsourcing some stuff. We were able to fund that with the payments that were coming in. So when you try to launch something, just get it to where it's 80%. You don't want to put something horrible out there. You want it to look good, but you're not going to necessarily have everything in place. And maybe some of it you figure it out. So I will talk about Dig Direct for a second. Dog is Good is actually launching a new division right now called Dig Direct. And I'll talk about what it is in a second. But what I really want to focus on is the fact that they've launched it and they're in phase of their launch. And when people are signing up, Gila, who is one of the co-founders of Dog is Good, she's basically saying, look, this thing isn't done yet. So all of you who are signing up in phase one, you're going to help us beta test the rollout. And you're going to find glitches and you might find some things that we've done wrong, and we're creating marketing copy as we go. And she's basically getting our feedback. Yesterday I was on a call and someone was like, I would love to have marketing copy for this type of situation. And she's, you know what, that's great. We'll create that for you. But it's all the beauty of being on the ground floor of that is you see all of that being built. But she didn't wait. The actual launch of this thing is in February, but we're already signed up and we have a lot of people that are signed up. So just that type of mindset of saying, we're going to do this, we're going to get it 80% and we're going to launch it and then we'll tweak it as we go, I think is a great way to do things. And I think those who were able to do that during COVID definitely came out a little bit better than those who didn't. We still have people that are like, I'm going to do this thing that I started in March and soon we're going to launch it. And I'm like, it's been 9 months. So get something out there. And sometimes you just got to have someone push you off the cliff.
Yeah. So we are virtually pushing you. We're putting a little cloud parachute for you to land in, but you can do it.
Exactly. So I will talk retail and then I'll go back to the Dog is Good because I didn't really explain that was, but we had a lot of people who always wanted to do retail. And when COVID hit, they said, yeah, we really need to do retail now to bring in extra revenue. So we had lots and lots of people that we worked with to help them figure out how to add an online store to what they were doing. Some people were already selling in their store, but of course, when shutdowns happened and social distancing happened, and most people shut their lobbies. So now all that inventory that was in your store was hard to sell. So we had a lot of people transition from physical products to an online selling portal. And I think that's still a good way of marketing to your current clients, but it does require somebody to promote the products and make sure that you have the inventory and you ship it or have the person pick it up or whatever. But I do think we did see a lot of people that added retail to their businesses this year that are not traditional retail stores. They're service-based stores, but they added retail. The great thing, that's another opportunity if you haven't heard of this, and we did a webinar, so if you want a replay of the webinar, just email us and I can send this to you. But Dog is Good, which is what I was just talking about, they just launched this division called Dig Direct. Is essentially a way that you can sign up to sell Dog is Good products and add that as an additional revenue stream for yourself. The beauty of it is when you sign up as a Dig Direct brand ambassador, you actually get a web portal built for you and all the products are in there. All the sales are done by that portal, which is controlled by Dog is Good. So the beauty of it is you have no inventory. You don't have to stock things. You don't have to ship things. You don't have to worry about collecting tax. All you do is promote that link. And if you have a specific product you want to promote, whatever, you can do that too. But you can also just share the link and say, hey, here's some products we love. Dog is Good is a company that's been around for the past 10 years. They're a proven company with a lifestyle brand. Half my clothes are Dog is Good clothes. They have really cute clothes, nice with cute sayings and stuff on them. And then they sell some other stuff like mugs and hats and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's another opportunity that just became available. And we, the Dog Gurus, are actually recommending that because for what I can see, it's a no-brainer for pet care facilities to add this. Everything is done for you. They're going to create the marketing collateral so that you can market it. They're going to have a lot of new products that are only going to be available through the Dig Direct stores, including the nutritional supplements, which they're adding to their line next year. So those will be cool to be able to offer to your clients. And those are monthly recurring subscriptions.
Exactly. I think about how many monthly recurring supplements between me and my dogs that I get into my house. In fact, I realized how many when we spent 30 days down at the beach and they didn't align. And so I was running out while I was down there. But it's a great way to have monthly revenue because I can tell you, the pets are on a lot of different supplements and these are going to be really high quality.
Yeah. So if you're interested in learning more about that, just email us and I can give you some more information on how to get started in that. It's totally in the ground floor right now. The other great thing is when they're also going to create marketing material for you. So if you want to send an email, they're going to have a graphic you can use. They also are going to do some specials where like once a month, there's going to be a limited offer that's like this shirt or this mug or whatever it is. This is only available until supplies run out. So it causes your clients who you're promoting that to a sense of urgency. So they want to buy. So it's a great way to just generate some additional revenue without having to hire a staff member. You don't have to build a website. You don't have to take the orders. All of that is done online by the client. And you're not collecting sales tax. You're not dealing with any of that. You're basically promoting your link. People can buy, and then weekly they send you commission checks based on whatever people purchase. And then there's also the ability that some of your clients could end up selling and you could make a portion of those sales as well. So it's really a cool opportunity, I think. And if you have questions on that, just let us know. Just shoot me an email at robin@thedoggurus.com and I can give you more information. Gila actually did a webinar for us about 3 weeks ago, maybe, or 4 weeks ago. And I can send you that replay as well.
You can also make that like a social event too, where you could do almost like the virtual Pampered Chef Tupperware parties. People are wanting some social get together on Zoom and do something rather than just sit and stare at each other. So you could talk about the different products and show.
Yeah.
They could be there with their dog and you could make it some fun games. And so there's a lot of different ways that you could incorporate it into your business.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to add an additional revenue stream with very little work on your part. So for those that are looking to diversify, I think it's great. And I think it fits any business, whether you're a groomer, trainer, pet sitting, daycare, lodging, whatever. You've got a list of people who love dogs. And those are the people that buy from Dog is Good. So if you're not familiar with Dog is Good, just go check out their website. And they are definitely on a mission to change the world one dog at a time. So it's definitely worth looking into. All right. What other things from 2020 that you want to talk about, Susan?
I think the other thing we found with our clients and members that were able to adapt quickly, that would have clients pay whether they were getting services or not, it was because of the way they communicate with the clients proactively, and that they really built relationships. So even though the business may not be doing great, they were reaching out to clients and finding out how are they doing, because it's different to have your dog at home, work at home, kids at home that you're trying to get in virtual school. And so reaching out and being proactive and communicating with the clients was a key to success for several of our members. In fact, Carrie, who was on one of our Facebook Lives, raised, I think, $15,000 doing Mother's Day photos. It was pay what you want. And again, that shows that relationship that was developed with the clients, that they want you to stay in business and be there for them long term. And we have many stories of that.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is there was a lot more vulnerability, I felt like, in pet business owners and their clients. So really being honest about what was happening, and because your clients really do care. And that was the biggest thing. I think we've always known that the clients care about us because they bring us food and they celebrate when we have something special going on, or they'll just go the extra mile because your clients do love you. But we saw that to a totally different level, that those clients really came through for businesses that were really hurting. We had so many stories about clients that are like, I'm just going to pay, even though you're closed. I just still want to continue to pay. And then, like you said, we had that Carrie doing a Mother's Day card thing and just saying, pay what you can. I'm just trying to raise money. And she made so much money off of that because clients just wanted to help. And although we were saying people are out of jobs and people are losing their businesses and all that, there's a lot of people out there that their job continued as is and their pay continued as is. And those are the people that were being really generous and trying to help. But it did cause those business owners to be honest and be able to have conversations to say, this is what we're going through. And that, I think that's hard to do because typically the business owner isn't in that position where they're sharing with their clients things like that. But it did seem that relationship did seem to be a lot stronger this year for those who took the time to reach out. And then again, just finding out what their dogs are doing, or finding out that they're completely stressed out at home because they're trying to homeschool their kids and figure out how to work Zoom, and their dog is driving them crazy because they've never been home so much. And just being able to reach out to the pet parent and build those relationships, that's been so important this year. So for those, again, of you that haven't seen some of your clients for a while, this is a great time to just reach out, not to sell them anything, but just to say, hey, how's it going? How are you doing? How can we help? And I know a lot of new ideas came out of those conversations. So we had a lot of businesses that were like, every time I talk to a client, this is what they need. And so they were putting together something that ultimately they could provide to them, whether it was free or something that they charged for. But you can get ideas about what your clients really need based on that. So I think that was a great outcome as well. I was going to say the other thing about the numbers is that we did find that people who knew their numbers were, but we found the people who could apply the fastest were the people who knew their numbers. And so another reason to get a hold of your numbers is if we get other opportunities in the next couple of months, or hopefully sooner than that, but if some of these stimulus check ideas pass through Congress, there might be another opportunity to apply to get whatever loans or grants or whatever. but usually there's financial details you have to provide. So we heard from some people that were like, I didn't even get a chance to apply because I didn't have my numbers together. And then we had others who were like, I was on it. Like I applied as soon as the portal opened because I had all my numbers together. So if you haven't done that yet, again, this is a great opportunity to use the next few months to get your details together in case that opportunity opens up again. We also saw a lot of people that got really creative into what their community offered for them. So just one of our Profit Network members the other day got a loan from Kiva, which was something we had mentioned early on. We were like, here's places that give loans other than your bank, obviously,
Yeah.
or the CARES Act, which was out. And she did get a loan through Kiva. She used that opportunity and applied. We had a lot of people finding out their local community had available.
Yeah. And then the member that got a loan through Kiva is now getting some free PR from it because they loved her story and what her business did. And so you never know what can come from.
They're doing a whole story to promote Kiva, but through her story. So she's getting marketing from that.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. We had a lot of communities. If you really had to get on the internet and search what your chamber was doing or what your regional community was doing, because we had a lot of people that got grants, not just loans that they had to pay back, but actually grants from their community, because a lot of communities were trying to pull money together, or they had a big corporation that funded something to help small businesses. And some of those are still out there. So if you haven't done any kind of Google search for what funds might be available to you as a small business owner in your community, I would still do that, because some of those funds are still out there. And usually what happens with those types of grants is the money is there and they really do want to spend it.
Yeah.
We knew one person who actually applied for a certain amount and she got almost double that because they had the money. And obviously they had more money than people asking for money. But those are things that you won't find out unless you do the research in your community yourself. So Kathy said she offered free evaluations for trick dogs, and then people started asking about training. So again, listen to what your clients are saying, because you may find that they want additional things that you can provide in one way or another. So I definitely think that's great.
I think this would be a good time, because a lot of times you do see your clients before the holidays and you may not because of curbside and shutdowns and all, but you still can reach out to them. And I think just making a phone call, just expressing gratitude for them supporting you through the year, and maybe ask, what is it looking like for you in 2021? Do you know if you're going to be going back to work, or what support could you use from us for your dog? And like Robin said, that's where you may get some ideas of how to package some things into either some online courses or a membership, or just get more information on when you need to be ready to ramp staff up because dogs may be coming back. It's just a nice opportunity to do some proactive communication and touch points.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people did lay off their staff, some permanently, some just furloughed, some started coming back and then had to be furloughed again with this other round of COVID. And then some didn't. They were able to keep their employees and continue to find other things for them to do, even when they weren't busy. But one of the things that Susan and I are going to focus on, and I'll just give a teaser to it now because we're focused on it more in January, but as things start to go back to normal, which honestly, I personally don't think normalcy is going to happen for a while, but with the vaccine coming out and with the change of hopefully people getting that vaccine, I do think that by springtime, we will start seeing travel open up a little bit. The travel industry has obviously been hard, but Thanksgiving was actually, I think it was the day before Thanksgiving, was like the highest airline traffic since March 9th was the story I saw. Now, we know a lot of pet care facilities that saw people canceling right before Thanksgiving because that was when all the COVID surge started happening, which was sad for all of us because we were just getting excited about people traveling. But the reality was, even though there were shorter stays for most facilities we talked to, the stays were shorter, it was still one of the biggest day of airline travel since March, which is good news. I think that will continue. Susan and I recently read an article that talked about the airline industry and what it looked like after 9/11 and what it looked like after the recession many years ago. And basically, it talked about the fact that holiday travel will come back first, and then business travel, it will probably take a long time. I actually think business travel is going to be really affected because I just can't help but think that business owners are of big corporations and that kind of thing where they do a lot of business travel are probably saying, huh, we can do a lot of this cheaper on Zoom. And so I think business travel is going to take a while anyway. But even after 9/11 and the recession, I think it said business travel didn't come back to normal for 5 years. Isn't that what that article said, Susan?
Yeah, it was definitely slower than leisure travel. So if you know what kind of travel your clients were doing, whether it was more personal leisure travel versus business, that'll make a difference. The other thing that's going to be slow to come back are the big trade show events and conventions, just because it's going to be a while before people are comfortable being in those large numbers.
Exactly.
So
But
it
I
just,
think I do think the one thing that you need to be preparing for is when that travel starts to pick up, and that's already starting to happen. Susan and I's fear is that it's going to pop like a champagne cork. As
yeah,
fast as it ended, I feel like leisure travel is going to be like, boom, spring break. We're all going out of town because we're so sick of not traveling. And then we're going to be caught off guard on the other end of this spectrum of we were caught off guard when airline travel stopped pretty much overnight, and then I want to make sure we aren't caught off guard when I'm definitely going out of town. So now is the time to make sure. The beginning of the year really is when you want to make sure that you're starting to get your staff up to speed, any kind of training that maybe you haven't done in a while, refresher training, or if you're hiring new people, get them trained and ready to go and ready to operate as if you're full again, because
yeah.
that's going to come. And I think over the first couple of months of the new year, as that vaccine rolls out, I think we'll start seeing people start making reservations again. And then I'm hoping by the end of spring, ideally spring break would be awesome, that people were really comfortable traveling and we're getting more reservations. And then hopefully summer gets back to what a normal summer would look like for a pet business. But again, it is going to help if most of your travel was corporate. I think that's going to be slower. If most of the dogs that were lodging with you were because the owners were traveling to see family, friends, or taking a vacation, that's probably going to come back a lot sooner. But now that we've been lulled into this, we don't have a lot of work to do kind of thing, a lot of dogs to take care of. And we talk to people where your staff gets to know that routine of they can operate at a really high level. And now they're used to operating at a lower level, probably. It's going to be a shock to them when it gets really busy again. And they're going to forget that used to be totally normal. You want to get them prepared for that so they aren't freaking out or thinking, now we need to hire 4 times as many staff. And you're like, we used to do it with this many people before COVID, but it's just the newness of something they haven't done in a while. So we just are going to start talking about that in January as well.
It is really hard to go through a pandemic. I don't think anyone had experience with that. None of us did. It was stressful, but it's nice to know that we can look back and find something positive from it, and to also see that this could be coming to an end soon. So 2021 will be different. I don't think it'll be normal to what we saw before COVID, but we'll be ready for a new normal. So just keep hanging in there.